For countless centuries, the conflict raged between the advocates of the flat Earth model, with its geocentric view of the cosmos, and the defenders of a spherical Earth revolving around the Sun. This dispute appeared to reach its end when the Americans claimed to have set foot on the Moon and presented images of Earth from space, seemingly settling the matter once and for all. Yet, some refused to accept this narrative, continuing to uphold the flat Earth model. These dissenters, however, were cast into the spotlight of ridicule, their claims turned into a mockery for a public persuaded by NASA's evidence. Many were thus compelled to abandon their beliefs, while others persisted in their defiance, denouncing the globe as the greatest deception perpetrated upon humanity. Still, their voices were muted by a media landscape firmly controlled by the elite, ensuring that no alternative view would reach the ears of the masses. After all, NASA now possesses photographs of Earth from space and can flaunt them before anyone daring to insist upon flatness, can it not? This Earth, we are told, is a sphere with a circumference of 40,000 kilometers and a diameter of 6,371 kilometers. Mathematically, such a surface must curve by approximately 20 centimeters every 1.6 kilometers, 80 centimeters after 3.2 kilometers, and 2 meters after 8 kilometers. At a distance of 80 kilometers, the curvature should amount to nearly half a kilometer, according to the formula, 20 centimeters multiplied by the square of the distance. The squared term is essential for yielding a spherical form and arriving at Earth's circumference as a complete globe. Based on NASA's own data, objects situated 8 kilometers away should vanish behind this curvature by about 2 meters. In simpler terms, if an object stands 2 meters high, it ought to be invisible from that distance, obscured by the arc of the Earth. But does this truly happen? Believe it or not, it does not. This curvature is never observed, neither from the ground nor from the skies. Every image or video of Earth taken from high altitudes and shown by space agencies has been captured using fisheye lenses, which distort the view into a false curve. Consider, for example, October 14, 2012, when the Austrian daredevil Felix Baumgartner performed the longest freefall in history. Ascending to 40 kilometers in a helium balloon, he leapt back toward Earth. A remarkable feat indeed, but what interests us here is that the camera within his capsule revealed a perfectly straight horizon at the moment of his exit, while the external camera showed a curved horizon, not because Earth is curved, but because the lens was a fisheye. Researchers in this field issued a challenge. Let anyone demonstrate the curvature, capture it, or prove it through any experiment whatsoever. This spurred the physicist Stephen Hawking to propose a scientific test. His hypothesis was simple. If one fixed a laser at a certain height, then at some distance the beam would appear higher, for the light travels straight while the observers, bound to Earth's surface, would have curved beneath it. Indeed, Hawking and his team succeeded in showing that the beam registered an elevation, an apparent proof of Earth's curvature. Yet restless minds, unsatisfied with second-hand conclusions, sought to repeat the experiment. Another group of researchers placed a laser half a meter above a lakeshore, then sailed away. At 3 kilometers, the beam had not risen, proving that the lake's surface was entirely level, devoid of the expected curvature. This observation aligned with common experience. People standing on one shore could see those on the opposite shore 10 kilometers away. Were the Earth truly curved, such figures should have been concealed beyond the arc. So then, which side holds the truth? Conduct the experiment yourself if you wish to be certain, or embark upon a journey of free thought if you seek the truth, one that points with striking clarity to the reality that we dwell upon an uncurved Earth. We behold objects across vast distances, though such visibility should be impossible if the Earth were truly spherical. Consider, for example, the Statue of Liberty, which rises 100 meters high, yet can be seen from nearly 96 kilometers away, where it ought by all logic to be hidden behind Earth's curvature. The Dunkirk Lighthouse in northern France, standing 59 meters tall, is visible from 45 kilometers. The Port Said Lighthouse in Egypt, 56 meters in height, can be discerned from 93 kilometers. And the Isle of Wight Lighthouse in England, at 54 meters, can be seen from 67 kilometers. The island's base itself forms a straight line 35 kilometers wide. By spherical geometry, this line should curve at the edges to conform to Earth's arc, yet every measurement shows the water's surface to be perfectly level at the island's base. More recently, a man photographed the skyline of Chicago from across Lake Michigan. The media dismissed the image as nothing more than a mirage. Yet for a mirage of a city to appear across a lake, highly specific and rare atmospheric conditions must prevail. Nonetheless, numerous individuals have captured the same view under different weather conditions at varying times, suggesting not an illusion, but a direct line of sight over a level surface. Examples of this nature abound. But let us turn back to the year 1800 and the renowned Bedford level experiment. In this test, an English researcher named Samuel Rowbottom ventured to the Bedford Canal in Britain, a waterway 10 kilometers long without bends. He mounted a telescope 20 centimeters above the water's surface, while a boat with a flag sailed away nearly 9.5 kilometers. The observer, peering through the telescope, could see both boat and flag throughout the journey. According to spherical geometry, this should have been impossible. The vessel ought to have slipped beneath the curve, disappearing from view. The result implied that the water's surface bulged to accommodate the curvature, yet the evidence showed otherwise. Why, then, does water not bend in Siberia's Pike Lake, which in winter freezes into one of the flattest expanses on Earth, stretching over 600 kilometers in length and 79 kilometers in width? And why is it that engineers and architects constructing canals, bridges, or railways across great distances never account for Earth's curvature in their calculations? Perhaps only the Verrazano Narrows Bridge stands as an exception, its design accounting for curvature. Yet the waters beneath remain visibly flat, while the bridge arches like a dome. Moreover, according to the immutable laws of physics, the surface of water is always level. This is what our eyes witness, what our senses affirm, and what our reason accepts. Were the Earth truly spherical, such a principle would shatter, for water would need to conform to curvature. And if it is said that water bends along Earth's arc due to gravity, the claim becomes all the stranger. For if Earth is indeed a spinning sphere, centrifugal force should fling the oceans outward into space. And if the oceans are drawn toward Earth's center of mass, then the middle of the seas should experience greater gravitational pull than the shores, creating concavity rather than convexity. Yet the reality remains, water is level. In Bolivia lies Sala de Uyuni, a salt flat covering 1,500 square kilometers. When the rains descend, the salt-encrusted earth refuses to absorb the water, transforming the plain into a vast, flawless mirror. If the earth were curved, that mirror should bow outward like a lens, yet it reflects in perfect flatness. And in 2003, a study by the Department of Geography at the University of Texas declared the state itself to be flatter than a pancake. And this is no exaggeration, nor a playful metaphor. It is, in truth, a land of level surface spanning nearly 700,000 square kilometers, an expanse that ought to display a discernible curvature from one end to the other. So, where is Earth's curve? Is it what we perceive from an airplane window? In reality, the apparent bend of the horizon seen from aircraft windows arises from the fact that the glass itself is curved to fit the plane's fuselage. Moreover, physicists, including Neil deGrasse Tyson, have openly stated that Earth's curvature is imperceptible at such altitudes, for the planet is simply too vast. And speaking of airplanes, when one examines global flight paths, peculiarities soon emerge. Certain routes, especially those linking cities in the southern hemisphere, appear illogical when mapped upon a globe. Before delving into standard commercial flight paths, let's consider cases of emergency landings. At times, aircraft must descend unexpectedly at the nearest airport due to technical malfunctions or urgent medical crises. Take, for instance, the China Airlines flight of November 2015, which departed from Taiwan bound for Los Angeles. Midway, a passenger went into labor, delivering her child at 30,000 feet, as reported by the Daily Mail. Consequently, the flight diverted to the nearest suitable facility. At first glance, nothing unusual appears. Yet, upon closer inspection, logic dictates that the emergency landing should have occurred either in Japan or in Hawaii, both equipped with advanced hospitals and situated along the projected route. Instead, the plane made an emergency landing in Alaska, which is utterly illogical, for Alaska lies far from the aircraft's intended route. This diversion could be likened to a flight departing from Sana'a in Yemen bound for Marrakesh in Morocco, only to be forced into an emergency landing in Baghdad. The plane had departed from Taiwan, flying in a straight line across the Pacific toward Los Angeles. Yet when compelled to land, it descended in Alaska, a place far removed from its course. On the globe, this path appears bewildering, but on the flat Earth map, it seems perfectly rational, for Alaska, according to that projection, lies squarely along the plane's trajectory. Does this suggest the plane was not flying above a sphere, but across a flat plane? A similar occurrence befell a flight from Hong Kong to Los Angeles. Mechanical troubles forced a diversion to Alaska once more, illogical on a globe, yet rational on a flat map. A third instance involved Qatar Airways, departing from Doha toward Chicago. When a passenger suffered acute food poisoning, one would expect the jet to land in Egypt, Tunisia, or perhaps Spain, destinations directly along the route. Yet it descended instead in Moscow, far afield on a spherical model, but entirely consistent on a flat Earth chart. Even routine flights defy spherical expectations. Consider the journey from Johannesburg, South Africa to Santiago, Chile, a trip that should require 12 hours in a straight trajectory. Yet the aircraft veers towards Senegal to refuel, extending the voyage to 19 hours. Similarly, the route from Johannesburg to Sao Paulo, Brazil, ordinarily a 10-hour flight, detours north to London for refueling, stretching the journey to 24 hours. And the flight from Santiago to Sydney, Australia, rather than following a direct path across the Pacific for 15 hours and stopping for refueling in New Zealand or on any Pacific island, strangely diverts northward, pausing in Los Angeles instead, extending the journey to 27 hours. There are dozens of such flight examples. All seem bizarre on the globe, yet make perfect sense on the flat Earth map. So, do planes fly above a spinning sphere or upon a fixed, level plane? If we say it is a rotating sphere, then logically flight times should differ depending on whether a plane travels with Earth's rotation or against it. Since Earth spins west to east, a journey from Kuwait to Algeria ought to take less time than the reverse, from Algeria back to Kuwait, because the ground itself is rotating beneath. Yet travel times remain identical. Even if Earth and its atmosphere spun together, acceleration forces would necessarily change with altitude. Moreover, aircraft would constantly need to adjust downward to remain parallel to Earth's curvature. Without doing so, a plane flying straight would eventually drift into space, assuming such a thing as space exists at all. Some argue that the odd flight paths are due to commercial routing, but what, then, of emergency landings? Others counter that our maps are projections of a globe, thus distortions are inevitable. But the same distortions exist on the globe itself. Speaking of projections, many are unaware that the world map we learn in school is misleading. It is the cylindrical projection created by Gerardus Mercator in 1569, famously called the Mercator projection. Why is it inaccurate? Your eyes can tell you. Look at Russia, roughly 17 million square kilometers. Yet on this projection, it dwarfs Africa, which spans 30 million. This is how the true difference in size between Russia and Africa appears. The United States appears larger than Africa as well, though Africa is 3 times its size. Greenland, shown larger than Africa on Mercator's map, measures barely 2 million square kilometers, 15 times smaller than Africa, nearly the size of Sudan. And by the way, the link to this website, which is used to compare the true sizes of countries, is provided in the description section. Do you know why the world adopted this projection, despite being fully aware of its flaws, while disregarding more accurate ones such as the Gauss-Peters projection? It is because it portrays the great powers as vast in territory as well, embedding in the subconscious a sense of dominance and strength. If you have never read about this matter before, you would surely find it astonishing and consider it a remarkable revelation. But believe me, what remains concealed is far greater still.